On his deathbed, her father confessed she was not his daughter, but a noble's. The Patmore Chronicles. Dear readers, on this fog-laden London night, a whisper has reached my ears that would make the very foundations of Mayfair tremble. A young woman of humble origin steps into our salons carrying more than mere ambition. She bears a secret of blue blood that no silk glove can conceal. They say that on his deathbed, a man confessed the truth he had kept hidden for 22 years. The daughter he raised belongs, in truth, to the highest nobility. But which noble? What scandal from the past now rises to haunt our gilded halls? And why, my dears, was this truth buried for so long? Stay attentive, for secrets of such magnitude never remain interred. They always find their way back into the light, bringing with them passions, vendettas, and loves that defy convention. Signed, Tom Patmore. The candle flickered in its tin candlestick, casting dancing shadows along the whitewashed walls. The air smelled of medicinal herbs and something heavier, the unmistakable scent of death. Anna Ashford knelt beside the bed, holding the wrinkled hand of the man she had always called father. Thomas Ashford, once a robust laborer on the lands of the Earl of Worthington, was now a skeletal figure beneath the worn blanket. His breathing came in short, uneven gasps. "Anna," he whispered, and there was something in his voice, an urgency mixed with guilt, that made her heart tighten. "There is something I must tell you. Something I should have told you long ago." She squeezed his hand more tightly, trying to lend him comfort. "Do not strain yourself, Papa. Save your strength." "No." The word came out with surprising conviction. "There is no more time for silences. You deserve to know the truth before I go to meet my Creator." He paused, closing his eyes as if gathering courage. "Anna, you are not my daughter. Not by blood." Anna's world seemed to tilt on its axis. She felt as though the ground had opened beneath her feet, leaving her suspended over an abyss. "What are you saying?" Your mother, Thomas coughed, a dry, painful sound. "Your mother was a lady, a true lady, Anna, of noble birth. And your father, your true father, is one of the most powerful men in England." Anna recoiled slightly, her hands trembling. 22 years of a life she believed she understood perfectly collapsed like a house of cards. "Who?" The word escaped as a strangled whisper. "Who is he?" Thomas shook his head weakly. "I cannot not ask it of me. I swore I would not reveal his name. But you deserve to know that you are not who you believe yourself to be. That there is a world waiting for you, if you have the courage to seek it." With trembling hands, he reached beneath the pillow and withdrew a small object wrapped in black velvet. "Take this. It belonged to your mother. She made me promise that one day I would give it to you." Anna unwrapped the cloth with fingers that could barely hold the object. Inside lay a delicately wrought gold locket, engraved with a coat of arms she did not recognize, a rampant lion beneath a ducal crown, surrounded by Tudor roses. It was clearly old, valuable, and utterly out of place in her calloused hands. "Papa, I do not understand." But Thomas Ashford closed his eyes for the last time, a final breath escaping his lips. The confession had been his last reserve of strength, his final gift, and his final curse. Anna remained alone, clutching the locket as silent tears streamed down her face. They were not merely tears of grief, but of fury, confusion, and something she scarcely dared to name, hope. The funeral was a modest ceremony. Few attended neighbors, the vicar, a handful of village women. Yet Anna could not shake the feeling that she was being watched. There was a man standing beneath a distant tree, elegantly dressed in a manner entirely unsuited to that rural village. He did not approach. He merely observed with unsettling intensity. When she looked again, he had vanished. That night, Anna examined the locket beneath the lamplight. The engravings were intricate, the work of a master craftsman. Inside, she found two miniature portraits. One depicted a woman of striking beauty, with eyes Anna instantly recognized. They were the same eyes she saw in the mirror. The other portrait was missing, leaving behind an accusing emptiness. But there was something else, engraved so delicately it nearly escaped notice. An address in London, Grosvenor Square, number 16. The decision came to Anna with startling clarity. She had nothing left there. No family, no future beyond a life of service. If there was even the smallest chance of discovering who she truly was, she had to take it. 3 days later, Anna found herself descending from a dusty stagecoach in the pulsing heart of Mayfair, and the brutal contrast with her former life was so shocking that she needed a moment to regain her mental and emotional balance. Shining carriages drawn by magnificent horses paraded past in an endless majestic procession. Ladies in French silk gowns and gentlemen in impeccably tailored coats moved as though the entire world had been created solely for their pleasure. The houses were not mere residences, they were palaces of white limestone, each proclaiming the wealth and power of its occupants. Anna, in her best dress, which she now realized was shamefully plain and inadequate for such surroundings, felt like an impostor among giants. Her boots were coated in dust from the long road, her shawl was visibly mended in several places, and she carried only a single small trunk containing all her modest worldly possessions. But the gold locket was hidden beneath her simple bodice, pressing against her racing heart like a silent, powerful promise. Number 16, Grosvenor Square, revealed itself to be an imposing and majestic mansion, with white columns and windows that seemed to regard her with absolute aristocratic disdain. Anna stood across the street, gathering her courage. "Admiring the Duke of Thornbury's residence, miss?" The male voice made her spin around abruptly. The man who had spoken was tall, with dark hair and storm-gray eyes that seemed to see straight through her. He wore the effortless elegance of the nobility and impeccably cut coat, a silk waistcoat, white kid gloves. Yet there was something in his expression, a guarded intensity, that made her instinctively step back. Forgive me." "I was only," Anna stammered, feeling the heat rise along her neck. "There is no need to apologize." His gaze swept over her face with an attention that was at once disconcerting and strangely familiar. "It is simply that I do not often see young ladies standing alone in Mayfair, especially gazing at that particular house with such intensity." There was an unspoken question in his words. "Do you know the Duke?" Anna ventured, her voice steadier than she felt. Something crossed his face: surprise, caution. "One might say that I do." "And you?" "No, that is not yet." She did not know why she was being so honest with a complete stranger. He inclined his head, studying her in a way that made Anna feel simultaneously exposed and protected. "Interesting." "Very interesting indeed. May I ask your name?" "Anna. Anna Ashford." She could have sworn he went slightly pale, though he recovered so quickly that she might have imagined it. "Well, Miss Ashford," he said slowly, as though savoring each syllable, "I think you should know that the Duke of Thornbury is not known for his hospitality toward unannounced visitors. In fact, he is notoriously reclusive. A man with many secrets. Then you know him well, better than I would like." There was a subtle bitterness in his tone. "And may I offer a word of advice? Whatever your reason for seeking him, proceed with caution. The Duke of Thornbury has a complicated reputation." "What sort of reputation?" The gentleman hesitated, then leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. "They say that 23 years ago he was involved in a scandal that nearly destroyed his family. A forbidden love affair that ended in tragedy. And they also say his eyes met hers with an intensity that made her heart race, that he never fully recovered." Anna clutched the locket through the fabric of her dress. 23 years. exactly her age. "And who are you?" she asked, her voice scarcely more than a whisper. He smiled, but it was a smile that did not reach his eyes. "Someone who is also seeking answers, Miss Ashford. My name is Adrian Blackwood, Earl of Ravenswood, and I have the distinct impression that our paths are about to cross in very interesting ways." Before Anna could respond, a carriage came to a halt before the Duke's mansion. A coat of arms painted on its door gleamed in the sunlight, the very same crest as on the locket, a rampant lion beneath a ducal crown, and Anna knew, with a certainty that stole her breath away, that her life had just changed forever. Anna did not sleep that night. Lying in the bed of the modest inn, she replayed her conversation with the Earl of Ravenswood. Every word, every glance laden with meaning. Adrian Blackwood knew the Duke. There was a history between them, something dark that lent bitterness to his voice whenever he spoke the name Thornbury. And there was the way he had looked at her, as though he recognized her. Morning arrived gray and rain-soaked. Anna was preparing to leave when a knock at the door made her start. A messenger in impeccable livery handed her a thick envelope, sealed with red wax, stamped with a coat of arms she now recognized. "Miss Ashford, your presence is requested for tea this afternoon at 4 o'clock at the residence of the Dowager Countess of Pemberton, Berkeley Square. A suitable gown will be provided. A carriage will collect you at 3:30.
A.B. Adrian Blackwood. At 3:30, an elegant carriage stopped before the inn. Inside lay an emerald green taffeta gown embroidered with silver thread. The Dowager Countess's residence was imposing.
A butler escorted Anna into a drawing room where 6 women were gathered around a tea table. The silence that fell when Anna entered was absolute. "Ah," said a middle-aged woman wearing a purple turban, "the mysterious Miss Ashford." Her voice was honey-sweet, but the words themselves were venomous. "Lady Pemberton," Adrian materialized from a chair near the window. "Allow me to present Miss Anna Ashford." Anna curtsied. "And these," Adrian continued, "are Lady Hartley, Lady Sinclair, Miss Cavendish, Miss Whitmore, and Lady Beatrice Thornbury." Anna froze. Thornbury. She looked at the woman, a young lady of perhaps 25, with blonde hair and ice-blue eyes that studied her intently. "Lady Beatrice," Anna murmured. "Miss Ashford. How interesting. Appearing from nowhere, with no family, no connections. And yet, here you are. Remarkable." "My niece is quite right," Lady Pemberton interjected. "Perhaps you might enlighten us as to the circumstances that brought you to London." Anna drew a steadying breath. "My father passed away recently. Before his death he revealed that my mother had connections in London. I came seeking answers." "Connections?" Lady Sinclair repeated, dripping insinuation. "What sort?" "That remains to be determined." Adrian chose that moment to intervene. "Miss Ashford is under my protection. Any discourtesy shown to her would be a discourtesy to me." Lady Beatrice looked from Adrian to Anna, calculating. "Your protection, Lord Ravenswood? How gallant. Though you are not usually so protective unless, of course, there is something more at stake." "There is always something more at stake, Lady Beatrice," Adrian replied, "as you well know." Lady Pemberton clapped her hands. "Enough. We are here to take tea." Tea was an elegant form of torture. Every question was an interrogation, every answer dissected. Anna spoke carefully of her childhood, of her adoptive father, with genuine emotion. During a discussion of heraldry, everything changed. Naturally, Lady Hartley was saying, a properly educated young woman would recognize the Thornbury arms, the Tudor roses encircling the rampant lion. Ancient, certainly, Anna heard herself say, though the current arrangement dates to the reign of Henry VII, when the first Duke received his title for service at Bosworth Field. The roses were added as a mark of royal favor. Absolute silence. Lady Pemberton set her teacup down very slowly. "You are surprisingly well informed, Miss Ashford, for someone raised in the country." Anna felt every eye upon her. Had she made a mistake? Revealed too much? Then Adrian smiled a genuine smile that lit his gray eyes. "Miss Ashford is clearly a young woman of exceptional education. My father always said that true breeding lies not solely in blood, but in the cultivation of the mind. Your father, the late Earl of Ravenswood, was known for his progressive views," Lady Beatrice remarked acidly. "And you, Lady Beatrice," Adrian replied with dangerous courtesy, "are known for upholding your uncle's traditions. The Duke of Thornbury also prizes status over substance, does he not?" Lady Beatrice went visibly pale. I dare to speak the truth." As always. The atmosphere in the room turned glacial. At that moment, a footman entered carrying a silver tray with a letter. "For Lady Pemberton, milady." Marked urgent. The Countess broke the seal, her eyes scanning the contents swiftly. When she looked up, something new flickered across her expression. Surprise? Apprehension? "Well," she said slowly, "it appears we have interesting developments. My brother, the Duke of Thornbury, requests my immediate presence." And her gaze fixed on Anna, he specifically inquires whether Miss Anna Ashford is present. Apparently, he is most eager to meet her. Anna's heart stopped. "That is unexpected," Adrian said, his voice carefully neutral. "Unexpected." Lady Beatrice rose abruptly. "It is utterly scandalous. My uncle does not receive strangers. He barely receives family. Why on earth would he wish to see this careful Lady Beatrice?" Adrian warned softly. "The next words you choose may be regrettable." Lady Beatrice shot him a furious glare, then swept from the room in a whirl of ivory silk. Lady Pemberton watched her niece's exit with an unreadable expression. "Well, Miss Ashford, it seems you have made quite an impression. My brother rarely shows interest in anything these days. Will you come with me?" Anna found herself nodding before her mind could fully process the situation. "Excellent. Lord Ravenswood, I presume you will accompany us as well." "I would not miss it for the world," Adrian replied, though there was a tension in his jaw Anna had not seen before. The carriage ride to Grosvenor Square passed in taut silence. Adrian stared out the window. Lady Pemberton studied Anna. "You resemble someone," Lady Pemberton said. "I cannot quite place whom, but there is something in your eyes. Many people share similar features," Anna replied. "Yes, but not that combination. It is unsettling." The interior of Thornbury House was magnificent, soaring ceilings, marble staircases, crystal chandeliers. And yet there was an air of melancholy about it. They were led into a splendid library, and there by the fireplace stood a tall, gray-haired man. "William," Lady Pemberton said gently, "I have brought Miss Ashford as requested." The Duke of Thornbury turned. Anna felt the world stop. He was older than she had expected, perhaps 60, but he retained an imposing presence. Yet it was his eyes that held her captive, eyes the same color as her own. "My God," the Duke whispered, shock and pain threading his voice. Adrian was at Anna's side instantly, steadying her. "You are her image," the Duke went on, his voice hoarse with unspoken emotion. "The living, perfect image of Catherine. Every feature, every gesture. Catherine." Anna repeated, the name both a question and a desperate plea for answers. "Your mother," the Duke said, unshed tears shining in his weary eyes. "Lady Catherine Beaumont, the love of my life, the woman I never forgot." And apparently his voice broke. "The mother of my daughter." The silence that followed was absolute and suffocating. Anna felt her knees weaken. Adrian guided her to a chair, his presence an anchor amid impossible revelations. "Your daughter?" Lady Pemberton finally spoke, her voice sharp with shock and disbelief. "William, what exactly are you saying? You cannot be suggesting—" But the Duke could not take his eyes from Anna, as though he feared she might vanish if he blinked. "I did not know. All these long, empty years I did not know. Catherine died 22 years ago, and I thought our child had died with her. I believed I had lost everything." But how Anna began, her voice faltering. That, a cold, cutting voice interrupted from the library doorway, is precisely what we would all like to know. With great interest, Lady Beatrice stood there, and behind her several others Anna recognized from the tea gathering. News traveled swiftly in high society, it seemed. "How convenient," Lady Beatrice continued, venom dripping from her tone, "that an impostor should appear at the exact moment my uncle is at his most vulnerable, claiming to be the long-lost daughter of a tragic romance. How touching a tale, how transparent a fraud." "Beatrice," the Duke thundered. But the damage was done. Anna could see the looks, hear the whispers beginning. Her reputation, one she had scarcely had time to establish, was being destroyed before her eyes. Then Adrian spoke, his voice clear and steady, cutting through the growing chaos. "Lady Beatrice raises a valid point that must be considered. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof." He looked at Anna, and there was something in his eyes, an apology. "A warning? A test? Miss Ashford, do you possess any real, tangible evidence of your identity beyond a superficial resemblance and curious coincidences?" Anna felt the betrayal like a sharp knife to the heart. He was turning against her. After everything bringing her here, shielding her from society's claw, she was publicly questioning her legitimacy. Then she saw Ida's slight nod, almost imperceptible, a signal. He was testing her, or perhaps testing the Duke, forcing the truth into the light. With trembling hands, Anna withdrew the locket from beneath her dress. "I have this. It was given to me by Thomas Ashford on his deathbed. He said it belonged to my mother." The Duke crossed the room in 3 long strides, taking the locket from her hands. When he opened it and saw the miniature portrait, he let out a sound that was half sob, half laugh. "Catherine," he whispered. "My beloved Catherine." "Anyone could have stolen that," Lady Beatrice protested, but her voice had lost some of its conviction. "No," the Duke said firmly. "This was made specifically by an artist who knew only the 2 of us." And there was another portrait. His gaze fell to the empty space within the locket. "Yours," Anna said softly. "It was not there when I received it." The Duke closed his eyes. "She removed it. To protect you." "To protect me." "A moving story," Adrian said, his voice still carefully neutral. "But there is another complication that must be addressed." All eyes turned to him. "If Miss Ashford is truly the daughter of the Duke of Thornbury and Lady Catherine Beaumont, then there remains the question of her legitimacy. Were they married?" The silence that fell was absolute. "No," the Duke finally admitted, his voice fractured and heavy with deep remorse. "I was betrothed to another woman. Catherine was promised to a Scottish marquis. Our love was impossible, utterly forbidden by society. Then she is a bastard," Lady Beatrice declared triumphantly. "She is my daughter," the Duke roared, such ferocity in his voice that everyone recoiled. "And I will acknowledge her as such, with all the rights and protections that entails." "You cannot," Lady Pemberton said, her voice gentle yet firm. "William, think of the scandal. Think of your position. Of Beatrice. I think of nothing but the daughter I lost for 22 years, of the love that was taken from me, of Catherine, who died believing I had abandoned her." Anna felt tears burning her eyes. "And I," the Duke continued, looking at her with such intensity it stole her breath, "will spend the rest of my life trying to make amends for those 2 lost decades." Adrian stepped forward. Then, with all due respect, your grace, I suggest you prepare yourself for the storm that is about to break. Because when this story becomes public, and it will, there will be no place in London or in England where Miss Ashford will be safe from society's malice. He looked at Anna, and there was something new in his eyes now. Not pity, but understanding, and something deeper she dared not name. Unless, he said softly, she has someone willing to stand at her side, no matter the cost. And Anna realized with a shock that struck her like lightning that he was not speaking merely of protection. He was offering himself. Adrian's offer hung in the air like a challenge thrown at society's feet. Anna felt the weight of every gaze upon her, some curious, others scandalized, and Lady Beatrice's burning with barely concealed hatred. Lord Ravenswood, Lady Pemberton said, her voice sharp as shattered crystal, surely you are not suggesting what I believe you are suggesting. Adrian did not take his eyes from Anna. I am suggesting precisely what you believe, Lady Pemberton. If Miss Ashford will grant me the honor, I wish to ask for her hand in marriage. The shock rippled through the library like a wave. Anna felt the ground sway beneath her feet. Marriage? To an earl? A man she had known for barely 2 days? Have you lost your mind? Lady Beatrice nearly screamed. She is a bastard, an impostor who appeared from nowhere with a fantastical tale and a stolen piece of jewelry. Careful, the Duke thundered, his voice heavy with ducal authority. You are speaking of my daughter, your supposed daughter. My daughter, he repeated, immovable. And anyone in this room who questions that will face my complete and absolute displeasure. Adrian seized the silence that followed. Miss Ashford, may I speak with you privately? Just for a moment. Anna nodded, unable to find words. He guided her to a secluded corner of the library, away from eager ears. You are not required to accept, Adrian said quietly, his expression softened for the first time since she had met him. But you must understand what is at stake. When this news spreads, and it will spread before dawn, you will be the subject of every drawing room in London. Courted by some, scorned by many, and pursued by fortune hunters who will see in you an opportunity to attach themselves to ducal wealth. And you? Anna asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. What kind of fortune hunter are you, Lord Ravenswood? He smiled, a genuine smile that transformed his face. The kind who has no need of fortune. My estates are vast and profitable. No, Miss Ashford, my reasons are far more complicated. Then why are you doing this? Adrian hesitated, and for the first time Anna saw uncertainty in his storm-gray eyes. Because I have known the Duke for many years, because I know what happened to Lady Catherine Beaumont, and because, his voice dropped even lower, I believe you deserve the chance to know your father and your rightful place in the world without being destroyed in the process. But a marriage would be one of convenience, he interrupted gently. At least initially, my position and reputation would offer protection. We would be seen as a couple who fell quickly in love. It happens often enough in society. And it would silence many of the most malicious tongues. Anna studied his face, searching for signs of deception or manipulation. But all she saw was sincerity and something else, an old pain that mirrored the one she had seen in the Duke's eyes. There is something you are not telling me, she said. Something about you and the Duke, about Lady Catherine. Adrian looked away. There are always secrets in the best families, Miss Ashford. But I promise that, in time, you will know all of mine. Before Anna could reply, the Duke's voice cut through the library. Enough of these conspiratorial whispers. Anna, come here, please. Anna returned to the group, keenly aware that every eye was fixed upon her. The Duke was holding a painted miniature, the portrait that had been removed from the locket. I kept this all these years, he said, his voice thick. I could not part with it. It was all I had left of Catherine, aside from memories. He looked at Anna, his eyes bright with unshed tears. She died of childbed fever 3 days after your birth. I was told the child had died as well. I was betrothed, about to marry out of duty. I could not go to her. And that," his voice broke, "is something I will live with for the rest of my days." Lady Pemberton touched her brother's arm. "William, you did not know I should have known," he burst out. "I should have fought for her. I should have defied the entire world if necessary. Instead, I married a woman I did not love, produced an heir who died at the age of 5, and spent 2 decades living with regret. The silence that followed was heavy with emotion. Even Lady Beatrice seemed momentarily without words. Anna felt tears sliding down her face. "My mother, did she speak of you? Thomas Ashford never told you. He said only that you were powerful, that you had sworn an oath." The Duke nodded slowly. "Thomas was a gardener on Catherine's estate, a good man, an honorable one. When Catherine discovered she was with child, he helped conceal the pregnancy, and when she died, he was the one who saved you." His voice trembled. "He came to me, you know, years later. Said he had something important to tell me, but I was lost in my own grief, in my unhappy marriage. I sent him away without hearing him." "My God," Anna whispered. "He tried," the Duke continued, tears now flowing freely. "Your adoptive father tried to tell me about you, and I dismissed him as though he were nothing." Adrian stepped forward. "What is done cannot be undone, Your Grace. But the present may yet be shaped." He was right, Anna realized. The past was immutable, a mosaic of mistakes, lost loves, and squandered chances. "But the future I need air," she announced abruptly, feeling the library walls closing in around her. Without waiting for permission, Anna crossed the room and stepped into the gardens. The rain had stopped, leaving the world washed and fresh. She walked to an ornamental fountain, her hands trembling as she gripped the cool stone edge. Footsteps behind her made her turn. It was the Duke, alone. "May I?" he asked, gesturing toward the nearby bench. Anna nodded. They sat in silence for a long moment, father and daughter reunited after a lifetime apart. "You have Catherine's eyes," the Duke finally said, his voice gentle, "and her spirit as well, I suspect. She was fierce, my Catherine. Intelligent, passionate, utterly incompatible with the society that tried to shape her. How did you meet?" A sad smile touched his lips. "At a ball. She was 18, I was 25. Our first encounter was a heated argument about politics. She championed reforms I considered far too radical. I fell in love on the spot, though it took months to admit it. And she said she found me insufferably arrogant." He laughed softly. She was not wrong. "But somehow, despite everything, our engagements, our family's expectations, the wall society erected between us, we found our way to one another. For one brief, brilliant summer, we were completely happy." Anna felt her heart tighten. "And then reality caught up with us. My father demanded I honor my engagement. Catherine's father arranged her marriage to the Marquis. We tried to flee, but he shook his head. We were discovered, separated, forbidden all contact. But you met again. Once, one stolen night. 6 months later." It was his voice faltered. "It was farewell, or so we thought. Neither of us knew that night would create you." Anna took his hand, surprised by her own courage. "She loved you. Thomas told me she never stopped loving you." The Duke squeezed her fingers, fresh tears shining in his eyes. "And I loved her. Every day of those 22 years, every lonely moment. My wife died 10 years ago, and I felt nothing but relief that she was finally free of a husband who could never love her as she deserved. I am sorry. Do not be sorry for me. Be sorry for wasted choices, for half-lived lives. But not for me." He turned to face her fully. Anna, may I call you Anna? Please. Anna, I have no right to ask anything of you. I have not earned that right. But I ask nonetheless. Allow me to know you. Allow me to be your father, even belatedly. Not to replace Thomas Ashford, he was the father you needed and deserved, but to add something new to your life. Anna felt emotion crush her chest. I would like that. The smile that lit the Duke's face transformed him, erasing years of sorrow. Then we shall begin tomorrow. But today he grew serious once more. We must deal with the storm that is gathering. Lady Beatrice will not accept this easily. She has always believed she would inherit everything when I die, as I have no legitimate heirs. But now you do. An illegitimate daughter does not inherit the title or the entailed estates, but I can leave you my considerable personal fortune, unentailed properties, investments, and I can most importantly give you my name and my protection. And Lord Ravenswood's offer? The Duke studied her carefully. Adrian Blackwood is a complicated man with his own painful history, but he is honorable, wealthy, and surprisingly well connected despite his preference for avoiding society. A marriage to him would be advantageous and safe, but it should not be decided under pressure or fear. If you marry Adrian, it should be because you wish to, not because you feel cornered. Anna thought about it, thought about Adrian's intensity, his secrets, the way he looked at her as though he had known her in another life. There is something between you, she said, between you and Lord Ravenswood. A history. The Duke sighed deeply. Yes, a history I probably owe you, though it is not entirely mine to tell. Please. He walked to the fountain, his fingers tracing patterns in the water. Adrian's older brother, Richard Blackwood, was my closest friend. We grew up together, studied together, were inseparable. When I fell in love with Catherine, it was Richard who helped us. He arranged our secret meetings, stood watch, conspired with us. A dark foreboding settled over Anna. What happened? When Catherine and I were discovered, my father demanded to know who had facilitated our forbidden romance. His voice broke with shame. I was 25 and a coward. I revealed Richard's name. And my father, in his fury, made sure the Earl of Ravenswood knew of his heir's dishonorable conduct. And Richard was disinherited, not entirely, but his father severely cut his allowance, stripped him of privileges, made his life miserable. Richard sank into a deep depression. He began drinking, gambling. And then, 15 years ago, the Duke closed his eyes. He took his own life. Anna felt as though she had been struck. Adrian was only 15 when he found his brother's body. He inherited the title prematurely, along with estates ruined by gambling debts and a tarnished family reputation. It took him years to rebuild everything. And he blames you. Yes, as he should. Richard died because of me. Then why is Adrian helping me? If he hates you because... Adrian's voice came from behind them. Despite everything, Richard made me promise something before he died. Anna and the Duke turned. Adrian stood on the garden path, his expression unreadable. He made me promise, Adrian continued as he approached, that if we ever discovered Catherine had borne a child, I would protect that child with my life. Richard loved Catherine too, you see. Not romantically. He knew she belonged to the Duke, but as a friend, a confidant, and he never forgave himself for not having protected her better. The Duke went pale. I did not know that. There are many things you do not know, Your Grace, Adrian replied, his voice hard but not cruel. But Richard was better than either of us. And I will honor his last wish, even if it means helping the man who destroyed him. Anna looked between the two men, own ravaged by regret, the other bearing the weight of promises made to ghosts. You have both lived trapped in the past for too long, she said firmly, surprised by the strength of her own voice. My mother is dead. Richard is dead. Thomas Ashford is dead. but we are alive, and we can choose to honor the dead by living truly living instead of merely existing beneath the weight of regret. Both men stared at her. Miss Ashford is right, a new voice interjected. Lady Pemberton emerged from the gardens, her expression gentle but resolute. William, you have wasted half your life mourning. Adrian, you have built your entire existence around vengeance and duty to a dead brother. And now she looked at Anna. A young woman who should have known only misery and obscurity stands before you, offering something neither of you ever dared to seek, a beginning. Margaret the Duke began. No, I will support Anna because it is the right thing to do. Because Catherine was my friend as well as William, I knew about the two of you. How do you suppose you managed to meet without being discovered? And because this girl deserves the family she was denied. She turned to Anna. But you must understand what you are facing. Society will be cruel. There will be those who never accept you. Your life will be examined, dissected, ridiculed. I know, Anna replied calmly. And still you will stay? I did not cross England to retreat at the first shadow of difficulty. Lady Pemberton smiled, a genuine smile that lit her face. You are Catherine's daughter, without question. Very well, then let us do this properly. She turned to Adrian. Is your offer still standing, Lord Ravenswood? Yes. And you, Miss Ashford? Anna drew a deep breath. It was madness. She had known Adrian for only 2 days. But in those 2 days, he had shown more honor and integrity than many men would in a lifetime. And there was something else. Something in the way he looked at her. As though he recognized in her a soul equally marked by loss and secrecy. I accept, she said firmly. I will marry Lord Ravenswood, if he still wants me, knowing all the scandals that will follow. Especially knowing the scandals, Adrian replied, warmth in his eyes that made Anna's heart race. Then it is decided, Lady Pemberton declared. An engagement will be announced immediately, followed by a swift but respectable wedding. William, you will publicly acknowledge Anna as your daughter. And we, she looked at each of them in turn, will present a united front against anyone who dares to question it. In the weeks that followed, London buzzed with gossip. The Patmore Chronicles devoted page after page to the scandal, the Duke's bastard daughter, appearing from nowhere to ensnare a count. Some drawing rooms closed their doors to Anna. Others, curious or genuinely sympathetic, opened them. Lady Beatrice attempted to spread rumors that Anna was an impostor, but the combination of the Duke's public recognition, the locket, and the undeniable resemblance to portraits of Lady Catherine silenced most critics. And through it all, Adrian remained at Anna's side. He was patient, kind, surprisingly attentive. He took her on morning walks in Hyde Park, openly defying anyone who looked upon her with disapproval. He taught her the intricate steps of society's dances, laughing when she trod on his feet. And slowly, something changed between them. The marriage of convenience began to feel like something more. The night before the wedding, Anna was alone in her room at Thornbury Manor. The Duke had insisted she reside there during the engagement when there was a knock at the door. It was Adrian. You should not be here, she said, though without real reproach. Probably not, he agreed. Entering all the same. He introduced her to his friends, a small but fiercely loyal circle. But there is something I must give you before tomorrow. He extended a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, not the extravagant engagement ring one might expect from a count, but something simpler. A sapphire surrounded by small diamonds. It belonged to my mother, Adrian said softly, and to her mother, before her. Richard was meant to give it to his fiancée, but he never had the chance. Tears burned Anna's eyes. Adrian, I know this marriage began as a convenience, he continued, his voice low and intense. I know you do not love me. How could you? You scarcely know me. But I want you to know that for me, it has become far more than a duty to a dead brother. What are you saying? He took her hand, his gray eyes meeting hers. I am saying that I have fallen in love with you, Anna Ashford, with your courage, your strength, your refusal to be cowed by a world that tried to reject you. And if you give me a chance, a true chance, I will spend every day of the rest of my life proving myself worthy of the miracle of having found you. Anna felt her heart overflow. Do you think I am the only one with growing feelings? Do you think I would agree to marry a stranger solely for protection? Then I am falling in love with you as well, she admitted, her voice trembling with truth. I am terrified, confused, completely out of my depth. But when I am with you, I feel as though I have finally come home. Adrian pulled her into his arms, and when his lips met hers, it was as though all the broken pieces of their lives finally fell into place. The wedding was held in the private chapel of Thornbury Manor, an intimate ceremony with only close family and dear friends present. The Duke escorted Anna down the aisle, tears of joy shining in his eyes. Lady Pemberton wept without shame. Even Lady Beatrice, though still reserved, attended a small step toward eventual acceptance. When the vicar pronounced them husband and wife, and Adrian kissed his bride, there was no one present who could doubt that this was a marriage of true love. Months later, Anna stood in the gardens of the Ravenswood estate, her home, now watching Adrian teach fencing techniques to a group of local village youths. The Duke visited weekly, and slowly, father and daughter built the relationship that had been denied them. He told her stories of Catherine, shared memories, taught Anna about her heritage, and Adrian was everything she had never known she needed: partner, friend, lover. He encouraged her opinions, valued her intelligence, treated her as an equal in every sense. Society eventually accepted the Countess of Ravenswood. Some matrons remained cool, but others, especially the younger, more progressive, embraced Anna as a symbol that love could transcend rigid class barriers. James Spencer, under the pseudonym Tom Patmore, wrote in his column, The Patmore Chronicles. And so, dear readers, our tale reaches an unexpected conclusion. The bastard daughter became a countess. The lonely Duke found redemption in the child he lost long ago. And two hearts wounded by the past discovered healing in one another. Some will call it a scandal. I call it a triumph. For in the end, it is not birth that defines our nobility, but how we choose to love. Signed, Tom Patmore. That night, lying in Adrian's arms, Anna thought of all those who had brought her to this moment. Thomas Ashford, who raised her with love, though she was not of his blood. Catherine Beaumont, whose passion gave her life. The Duke, who learned it is never too late to be a father. Richard Blackwood, whose final wish protected her beyond the grave. And Adrian, who loved her not despite her scandalous origins, but including every part of who she was. What are you thinking about? He murmured, his fingers tracing lazy patterns along her arm. That I came to London searching for a father and found an entire family. I found love. I found my place in the world. And we, Adrian said, kissing her temple, are indescribably fortunate to have found you. Outside, the moon illuminated the gardens of Ravenswood, and within, Anna Ashford, now Anna Blackwood, Countess of Ravenswood, acknowledged daughter of the Duke of Thornbury, finally allowed herself to believe what once seemed impossible, that she was loved, that she belonged, that her place in the world was not defined by the circumstances of her birth, but by the strength of her heart and the choices she made each day. And thus, our story of secrets confessed on deathbeds, of loves long lost and found again, of a courageous young woman who refused to let the world dictate her worth, reaches its happy ending, or perhaps, more precisely, its beautiful beginning.